Welcome everyone to the Pet Masters League World Finals. I'm Dragons After Dark. Joining me today again is Pirza. We've reached the final chapter of competition here in Season 3, and today decides who is crowned our champion.
That's right. It's our competitors had a long road to get here, and the pressure is real.
As always, the Pet Masters League is about more than competition. Today's finals are proudly raising funds for Stack Up as a part of the Stack Up Call to Arms 2026 campaign.
All donations from today's event go directly towards supporting veterans through gaming and mental health resources. So far, we have raised over $2,400 for Stack Up. Thanks so much to everyone who donated, watched, and supported.
And we have a special guest joining us again today. We have with us StackUp's Influencer Relations Manager. Please welcome Taterus.
Hello. Hi, guys.
Hello.
How's
Hey, thank
everybody
you for joining
doing?
us today.
No problem. It's exciting. It's exciting to be
Yeah,
here.
I'm doing good. I'm very excited to see what we have in store for this finals.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch. Last weekend was great.
So I have to ask, what do you think so far of the World of Warcraft Pet Masters League tournament?
I'm actually kind of blown away because this is a part of WoW that I've never really expanded on. I'm not a huge WoW player. I have played most of the expansions and gone through and done some questing and attempted to dabble a little bit in raiding, but pets has never, aside from, collecting some cute ones I might come across, has never really been something that I know much about. So it's been really fun to, learn a little bit more about different types of pets and how to, defeat those pets and stuff like that. So that's been really fun.
Absolutely. And the cute ones is how they get you started, right? You collect the cute ones and
Yes.
then you're like, what can this cute one do in the battle? And that's how they get you in. That's how they reel you in.
Yeah, I've
So
actually heard that before.
yes, absolutely. So tell us about Stack Up and their mission, and I really want to hear your reaction to getting that anonymous donation last weekend as well.
Okay, well, I'll start off with that because I, sat here and was watching and engaging as much as I could, and stepped away for probably 20 minutes to make dinner. Um, and came back and I ended up having to send Prophet a message like, "What did I miss?" So I was, you guys were doing fantastic already, and it was a really good show. And then to come back and sit down and see that, not only had you guys reached the goal, you had to increase the goal. And it's just been a really fun to hang out and be around with you guys in the community. So that was awesome. But yeah, a little bit more about Stack Up. Our mission is really to promote positive mental health and suicide prevention through gaming and geek culture. That's kind of our key phrase. You'll hear a lot of people talk about that. It's kind of a niche, support in mental health. Gaming is not something that, I mean, in our communities, we know that it's wonderful, but in a lot of communities, in a lot of society, it's kind of not shone in the brightest of lights. But it's one of those things where, if we can connect people to gaming and the online gaming community by getting them connected with a PlayStation or an Xbox or a Switch, or, we've given out PCs before, and that gives them a way to connect with people who, I don't care what society says, there's a lot more good in the gaming community than there is that's bad. And you know, back when COVID happened, if it wasn't for some games that we got all into, uh, it would have been a lot harder, I think. And so that's really just kind of, 7 Days to Die was one that I played a lot and just kind of sunk time into. And, I'm not one that have served, and I don't deal with PTSD, but that was a hard time for a lot of people. And gaming is just has the ability to do so good for people. There are studies that have proven that gaming can be good for those who struggle with PTSD and anxieties and stuff that come along with their time in service. So, our mission is to just get those into the hands of veterans of both the US and our allied nations. I want to make that a point. I know that I talked about this the last time I was on with you guys, but it is one of the biggest myths about Stack Up is that we only, support US veterans, when in fact it's, we really want to grow our footprint internationally so that, service members from around the world know that we're here to support them as well and get them connected to the online gaming community. So yeah, that's just a bit of a summary. There's a lot of things that we do, but we really just want to connect people to good communities and show them support and, let them know that we're there to listen and have fun and, delve into some pet battles if we need to.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's really great to hear about all the good work you're doing for that community. Where can people go to get involved with Stack Up?
They can go to www.stackup.org. There's a website there. It highlights our mission. It talks about all the different programs that we have. It also has, all of our financials. We're pretty transparent about where the money is going. You can go and look up all like past years that are on there. And it has, my contact information also if anybody had any further questions. I know the last time I spoke, I had a couple people reach out to me via whispers on Twitch. Totally fine. Come to me, talk to me. I'll, if you can't readily find where to go, then I will happily point you in the right direction to where you can go and find stuff out.
All right, awesome. Thanks so much for joining us today. Yeah.
No problem.
Thank you for joining us, Taterus.
I definitely appreciate you guys having me on, and best of luck to all the competitors today. I'm so excited to see how the evening plays out. Sorry.
Absolutely, and maybe we'll see you in the tournament next season.
Okay, maybe not. Maybe.
No, come on.
Here's the secret: the cutest pets do the most damage. Right? That's all you need to know.
Exactly.
Well, then I've got some cute ones, so maybe I've got some powerhouses. I'll have to go log in and check them out. All right, thank you guys for having me. Good luck, competitors. I'll see you guys later.
Bye, Taterus.
Bye.
Thanks so much.
Okay, time to get down to business. It's all come down to this moment. All competitors this season have earned a custom limited edition enamel pin, and today our world champion will take home a one-of-a-kind custom trophy themed around World of Warcraft, The War Within Season 3. What you see on the screen is the sample grand prize. That is for the Season 2 one, themed after the Undermine patch. This one will be themed after the Koresh zone, and I can't wait to see what the mock-up's going to look like for that. And then, of course, we have our Season 3 enamel pin with the Thorntail and the Perkin cuddling. And that's only... I'm so sorry. This pin can only be received for participating in the competition. So if you are looking to get your hands on one of these amazing little pins, you'll have to go to the Pet Masters League website and look into signing up for Season 1 of Midnight. With that being said, though, let's meet today's finalists. Representing North America for the third straight time is Wox BC. Congratulations on making it back to the World Finals, Wox. So, you have been the NA finalist for 3 seasons in a row. Does that experience give you confidence coming into the World Finals?
I lost the last 2 times, but hopefully this time will be different. So I'm looking forward to playing against someone new.
Yeah, that was a pretty big upset. Tanixian lost in the EU finals, although I'm sure it would have been nice to meet Tanixian one more time and finally come away with that win.
I was hoping to get revenge, but I guess I'll have to wait.
I guess you will. What's the biggest adjustment you've had to make when facing the international competition?
I think in the past 2 seasons, they've had a very different read on which pets are sort of in the meta. and that just leads to you having to think slightly differently about how you draft and how you play.
Absolutely. And with that in mind, how do you feel going into this match against Baldorax?
I haven't watched very many of his games, but if he beats Inixian, he must be pretty good. So I'm looking forward to playing against him and hopefully going home with the win.
100%. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think so.
All right, perfect. Thank you and good luck today.
All right. And facing off against Walk BC, representing the EU for the very first time, is Baldorax. Congratulations on being here.
Hi, thank you.
So your most used pet is the Enchanted Broom. What do you think makes that pet such a core part of your strategy?
I mean, I won't reveal my strategies before beating Vox, but
Fair enough.
yeah, the broom was. I mean, I built up the strategy with the broom since the fourth week of the competition. So yeah, worked quite a lot on it.
That's great. It's great to see that pay off then. So your nemesis pet then is listed as Braves. What is it about that matchup that causes you problems, do you think?
I mean, it's my nemesis pet because Tanikshan beat me with it in the group phase, and
That's true.
I mean, he is the one who beat me the most, so I guess that's where I got the loss. I don't think I will struggle against Graves particularly.
That makes sense. It definitely was a very tough matchup that you had to go through, but you pulled through it, and here you are. So how do you feel today about going into this match?
I mean, I'm obviously stressed, but I heard that Wox is even more stressed than me, so I'm feeling confident.
There you go. It kind of balances out. Anything else you'd like to add?
No. We'll stick with that.
All right, awesome. Well, best of luck today.
Thank you.
All right, now that we've met our competitors, let's go over a little bit what the match structure is going to look like. First up, before the match, the players will begin building their roster. Both players select 12 pets to form their initial pool. At the start of the pre-match phase, these selections are revealed simultaneously on pet-draft.com. After reviewing each other's rosters, players choose 3 additional pets to adapt to any unexpected threats they might see on the other team. Each player now has a pool of 15 pets to draft from. Then comes the pick and ban phase. Players take turns banning and picking pets from their opponents and their own pool following a set turn order. This strategic phase builds each player's final team of 3 pets. And remember, during the ban phase, if a pet is on both teams and hasn't been selected by a competitor, it will ban it on the other team. So if both teams have, I'm not sure we have any. They both have the Violent Pultrid. So if no one has put it on their team yet and someone selects to ban the Violent Pultrid, it will be banned on both sides. Then the players will choose the pet's abilities, and they are already met up at the battle location, but that will be going on, so neither player knows the ability selection that the other player has made until the pet uses that ability. This will be a best of 7 format. After each match, the full set of 15 pet pool resets, and the pick ban phase is repeated for the next round using the pet-drafts play another round feature. And with that, Pirza, it looks like we have already begun our bonus picks for this. So, are you excited for today?
I'm so excited. Yeah, we have our 12 initial pets already picked out for both sides. What do you see already with both of these sides?
So, what I'm seeing is, of course, we're seeing the Umbral Amalgam and Sir Shady Murgleton Jr. I'm kind of wondering if maybe the umbral amalgam is one of those pets that we're going to see banned next time around to maybe keep things it's not necessarily about being fair, but to keep the competition interesting. It's why you're not going to see certain pets, and we'll go over that a little bit later. We also see the violent poultry on both sides. We've got the bone serpent on both sides. We've got buttercup on both sides. So we're seeing a lot of mirroring on the teams, not 100%, but enough that it's going to be interesting once we start getting into the ban phase to see if someone's going to try and grab a pet before they ban it that way that they get to have it but the other person doesn't, or how that's going to play out.
Yeah, that's right. There's definitely a lot of those big playmaker pets that we saw last weekend. Like you said, the Umbral Amalgam, Buttercup, the Bone Serpent. So it's going to be interesting to see who gets banned out of that list. I do see the Enchanted Broom on Baldorax's side. I would really love to see that one come into play, to see that strategy that he mentioned in the interview.
Absolutely. And so the Enchanted Broom is definitely one of those. It's not the speediest pet we have anymore because we have seen stat creep in pets over the last couple of expansions, but it's still got pretty decent speed at 325. And it's kind of a decent utility pet because of its speed, because it can clean up certain things on the other team, like if they throw down a decoy or maybe a cyclone. And then Sweep will force swap the other pet. And then Batter, that slot 1 ability, will get a bonus hit when the broom is faster, which is going to be for most pets, but we're seeing a lot of speed, especially on Wox's side. So that Umbral Amalgam coming in the speed breed will be really quick. Sir Shady's got okay speed, definitely faster than the broom though. And then the Violent Poultrid would be a speed tie. And as Flip Method pointed out in the chat, the Violent Poultrid has been the biggest menace, right up there with the Umbral Amalgam this season. So I'm wondering if that one's also going to see a ban for that first season of Midnight.
I would not be surprised. That is definitely one we saw a lot last weekend. It does seem to just do a whole lot for you. But we are starting to see some more of those bonus picks coming in. We've got Roggy and the Maw Crawler on Baldorax's side, and Indigo and the Timeless Mechanical Dragon Wing on Wox BC's side. Somebody in chat pointed out that there was no mechanical pets on Wox's side so far, but it seems like with that Dragonling, now we do have one. What do you think about that?
So I think someone's right to point out that there were no mechanical pets over there. There's a few pets that you're going to see that are pretty typical on teams, and that's going to be mechanical pets because they get that mechanical resurrection round where they come back with, I believe it's something like 20% of their health. And then you have the undead pets, which have the immortal round, and they come back and they can't be killed that round. So the undead pets slightly edge out the mechanical pets in that regard because they can't be killed they won't die until the end of that immortal round. And then we have the magic pets. So the magic pets, you're going to see that hard cap on how much damage they can take at once. They can't be dealt more than 35% of their health at a time. So that's a great way to counter pets that have a lot of big hit abilities. However, most of what I'm seeing on both sides are definitely more kind of like incremental damage. So like the Bone Serpent, you're pretty much going to see things like Bone Barrage, which is going to help take out certain shields or just do that incremental damage and keep the dot up on the team. And the same for, let's see, where is he? The Death Adder Hatchling. So the Puncture Wound along with the Blinding Poison, so you get the blind, which is considered the pet being poisoned, and then you get Puncture Wound, which gets bonus damage. So you get to hit twice, and generally you're not hitting that hard cap. So you can kind of slide under that hard limit on how much damage you're doing while still bringing the pet pretty low on health.
Yeah, that's a really interesting strategy. We have seen a lot of those dot-based strategies, I think, in previous weekends. Although there are some pets that I don't think I've seen so far. I'm not sure if I've seen Roggy is one that is jumping out to me, and then there's probably another one around here. I don't know if I've seen. No, I've seen the Maw Crawler, but Roggy I think is the first one I've seen since I started casting these. Oh, and then we have the Mechanical Pandaran Dragonling and Trunks as the final bonus pick for each side.
Yep, so the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling has been a big pick, mostly because of that Flame Breath, sometimes the Time Bomb, but definitely because of that decoy. And so we didn't see Roggy in the NA finals. We did see Roggy in the EU finals. And Roggy is the really adorable snail that you can get in the Zeralet Caverns, and he has that that opera Viking helmet. So it's the helmet with the two little horns coming out of it. He's a super cute pet. But he's a little bit of a powerhouse with that 317 power, and he's got 2 weather abilities that he can use. So Sandstorm and Mudslide, and then probably Ooze Touch, although some people have been selecting Absorb as well.
All right, yeah. Well, now that we have our rosters for this round all set up, we should be seeing picks and bans coming in shortly. While we're waiting for that, just a reminder that this stream is in support of the Stack Up charity. If you're interested in donating, there's a Tiltify link sent in the chat by VALOR Gaming.
Absolutely. So our next goal for the Stack Up Gaming giveaway is $3,500. And in that bundle, you're going to be able to enter to win the Dragon Roast coffee bag. And we have it on good authority from Prophet that the coffee is delicious. And one of the Valor Heroes mugs.
I've heard so many great things about that coffee. Would love to see that goal get hit.
Absolutely. And it looks like we have hit team selections. So Baldrax will get to ban 2 pets first, and it looks like they're going for the Lost Quill first, maybe. Last time, every time I'd call something out before they finalized it, they'd select something different. But it looks like they stuck with the Lost Quill and Indigo. And I think that's going to have to do with the Lost Quill being so quick at 330 or 366. And having that sleep with Stay a While and Listen, which is a reference to Deckard Cain for anyone who's wondering, from Diablo, and the Spectral Spine, which does a partial blind. And then, of course, Indigo is pretty speedy at 349 speed, and that would make using Dust Cloud really advantageous here if they're faster, so it feels like you're getting a 2-round dodge, but you're still only getting the 1 full round the next round. But because you're faster, it feels like 2. And then, of course, you get that single round interrupt with that kick. But now it's time for Walks to ban 2 pets over on Baldrax's team. And I'm wondering what they are going to ban, because it doesn't look like Baldrax has their nemesis pet Graves. So I'm wondering if in lieu of that, they're going to go for something like the Bone Serpent. Oh, personal use Sapper.
Personal use Sapper. Oh, and there goes the Violent Poltred as well.
There goes the Poltred. Maybe we talked it up a little too much, and Walks was like, we're gonna take this one out of the game for both of us.
What do you think about that personal use Sapper ban?
So it makes sense to me. It's because of the build turret, so that'll give you a consistent dot. I do not believe it can be cleansed by the other team. I don't know if cleanup will get rid of it. I think the only thing that would get rid of it is the ability that we're not going to see on any of the pets over here. And that is, I forget what it's called, but the Prideling, one of the Prideling, the little elemental guys, they have it. It's one of the only ways we have to cleanse the enemy team of any buffs and debuffs. But we have our first picks for both sides. So WoxBC has picked the dreaded Umbral Amalgam that has been causing havoc, probably right behind the Violent Poltrid, and then the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling on Alderax's team, which is a good counter for the Umbral Amalgam. And that's because the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling has Flame Breath. So Flame Breath is a dragonkin ability that's going to do strong damage to a magic pet like the Umbral Amalgam.
Yeah, it seemed like WoxBC instantly locked in that Umbral Amalgam. And I'm not super surprised by that. It does seem like a pet that they're very strong with, and it does a whole lot. And then that Rebellious Imp coming in as well, I could see that being a good complement with the dot damage that it does. And then on Baldurex's team, like you said, we had the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling, and then we had the Bone Serpent as well.
Yeah, we're actually kind of seeing a one leads into the next on strong damage. So the Rebellious Imp is really going to be about getting that immolation aura on the Rebellious Imp, and then either using Nethergate to force swap an opponent out, or Portal to take it to the back line. And even on the back line, immolation will do damage to the front line enemy pet, and it will also trigger the humanoid pet's racial passive, which will heal them for a percentage of their health anytime a hit lands. So in addition to that, the Rebellious Imp is probably going to have Burn as their slot 1 ability, and that is probably in an effort to have something to counter the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling. Burn is an elemental ability that will do strong damage to mechanical pets like the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling. And then, of course, the Bone Serpent has Bone Barrage, which will do strong damage to the Rebellious Imp. So it's an undead ability. It does multiple hits, and then it puts a dot on the team. And then, of course, it's undead. The Rebellious Imp is a humanoid. It will take strong damage from that.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be one of those matches that is maybe kind of an explosion of damage if we have, the Rebellious Imp doing a whole lot to that Mechanical Dragonling, and then the Bone Serpent doing a whole lot to the Rebellious Imp. I feel like it's just going to be one of those explosive ones. But yeah, we have the Anxious Nibbler coming in as WoxBC's final pet. What do you think of that pick?
So that one, again, is going to lead into a counter on Baldurax's team. So critter pets and critter abilities do strong damage to the undead pets. And then, of course, the Death Adder Hatchling is a beast, and the beast abilities do strong damage to the critter pet. So it looks like we're just going counter for counter here. So we might actually see a lot of swapping going on as they try to get into an advantage over the other pet to basically counter them and do strong damage. So it might be someone gets caught in a switch and they both switch at the same time, and they both end up with pets that are going to do strong damage one against the other. So we're just going to have to see. I think we might see a bit of switching in this one.
Yeah, I definitely would not be surprised. It seems like maybe whoever is more strategic about their swapping is probably going to be the one to pull through on this round one.
I agree 100% with that. And then while they are picking their abilities and getting the battle started, don't forget what you just saw on the screen is the pet-draft.com website. It was made not exclusively for the tournament. You can go there and you can try this out for yourself. So you can pick and ban with a friend, and then it'll also let you do simulated matches in the browser, so you don't have to meet up in game if you can't.
Yeah, that's right. There are so many great tools out there for the pet battle community. Pet Draft is one of them. And I think we are getting right into our round one.
Absolutely. So I think because you can pick whoever to start out, I think this is going to set the tone. And we have it here. So the Bone Serpent against the Rebellious Imp. The Bone Serpent is undead. And we see the Rebellious Imp hitting that Immolation aura with the Bone Serpent doing that undead damage to it. It looks like we might be keeping the Rebellious Imp in.
That bone
And
barrage did so much to that Rebellious Imp, almost knocking it out completely.
oh yeah. And we see there that they have portals, so he's swapping to the back line. Walk's probably trying to recoup some of that health back there, while maybe the Anxious Nibbler does that strong damage against the Bone Serpent. And we will see if Walks chose that Dust Cloud, which gives the Anxious Nibbler that 2-round dodge. Now it's going to depend on whether or not Baldrax decides to make the swap, and they did. And all right, and the Anxious Nibbler did try to do the Primal Cry. I'm not quite sure why the Primal Cry. Oh, the Primal Cry missed because Darkness was up. That's what was happening. Darkness was still up. That is a flat 10% chance to miss for all pets on the field, unless they are elemental. Elemental pets are immune to the negative weather effects. And now we have the Umbral Amalgam coming in with Walks having swapped out the Anxious Nibbler, trying to cut their losses.
Yeah, that's
And-
right. There's already so much swapping going on. It felt like that was a big miss, though, on that Adder Hatchling. Oh, and so much damage is coming out to that Mechanical Dragonling.
Yep, that is one of those advantages. And now we have the decoy being gotten rid of. But of course, Baldrax has chosen to put that dot on the Umbral Amalgam. It did land despite the weather being Darkness. And now Walks does have to make the decision whether they're just going to leave the Umbral Amalgam in to try and do another hit on the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling, or on whatever pet Baldrax has decided to swap in. And with that, Flame Breath has taken out the first pet of the match, the Umbral Amalgam, on Walks' team.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised by that because it seems like the Umbral Amalgam is such a big threat, but that Mechanical Dragonling just made very quick work of it.
Yeah, Walks had to make the decision on whether or not they were going to get rid of that that decoy with that cleanup ability, or swap out and take that hit from the Flame Breath, or swap out. And they decided to clean up the decoy. And now we see the Death Adder Hatchling doing that strong damage to the Anxious Nibbler. But now Baldrax does have to make the decision on what they're going to try and bring in when they can't really hit the Anxious Nibbler right now until next round. And the Anxious Nibbler has taken the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling into its mechanical round. It is being hit by that Immolation aura from the Rebellious Imp on the back line, and the Anxious Nibbler takes out the Mechanical Dragonling, and now it's the Anxious Nibbler versus the Bone Serpent. So even though Walks has, or did lose the first pet, with that, the match is pretty much done. The Bone Serpent might be able to take out the Anxious Nibbler here, but it doesn't.
Hanging on with 1 HP.
I know. Yeah, so that's that immortal round advantage. They sit at 1 HP until the end of the round. They did manage to take the Anxious Nibbler out, with Walks BC winning by the skin of their teeth. Because remember, that Rebellious Imp went to the back line with really low health from that Bone Barrage.
That's right.
So-
It definitely was. It seemed like Walks BC made very quick work of Baldo's team, but it was actually very close, I think, due to that dot strategy. There was just so much damage going out. But that Anxious Nibbler, I think, really did a lot to kind of clean up things on Baldo's end. So congrats to Walks BC for winning round 1 of our grand finals.
Absolutely. And we have to remember, for Walks BC, they've only lost, I believe, 1 match the entire season. I believe it's just the 1 match. I can't remember if they went to 2, but I think it was just 1 match.
I think it was 2.
Was it 2?
When in the NA finals, Wax BC did not have a nemesis pet because they had not lost up to that point. But that NA finals did go to game 5. So Wax BC did clutch it out in the end, but it was pretty close.
It sure was. And it looks like Baldurax has chosen to just go ahead and take out the Violent Poultrid for both of them from the get-go.
Yeah, once more,
I apologize,
the Violent
sorry.
Poultrid gets a ban.
Walks. I apologize. Walks decided to take out the Violent Poultrid from the very beginning for both of them, as well as the personal use Sapper, which makes me wonder if maybe they're going to be bringing in a pet where they don't necessarily want to see all that dot damage come in from the build turret.
I could definitely see that. We're seeing a lot of the same bans from the previous round. The Lost Quill and Indigo get banned out again, as well as, like you said, the Violent Poultrid and that personal use Sapper. I'm wondering if any of the pets from round 1 are going to get banned, but it seems like not. Instead, we're picking our team. We got Roggy, the snail, on Baldurax's team here in round 2.
Yes, so Baldurax definitely saw some Roggy action from the EU. We didn't see it in the NA, so it's going to be interesting to see how it plays against Wax BC's team. As I said, it has Sandstorm and Mudslide, so that can be a counter for a couple of different types of pets, although Wax does not have any aquatic pets. So that Sandstorm is a little bit of it's a double-edged sword, right? Once you put Sandstorm on the field, just like with Call Darkness, all the pets on the field are going to have a 10% chance to miss, or if they're doing something on the back line like Immolation, there's a chance for that to miss as well. Sandstorm also comes with the caveat that it reduces the amount of damage being dealt based on the power of the pet. So with Roggy at 317 power, it's going to reduce the damage amount by more than, say, a lower power pet with Sandstorm, or like the Akir Tunneler, who has 342 power. That one's going to reduce the amount of damage or you can receive through Sandstorm. That will be even more than Roggy's damage reduction from it.
Yeah, I saw it pointed out in the chat earlier that I don't believe there are any elemental pets in either side. Correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, that 10% chance to miss is definitely going to come into play, I think. But we now have the Umbral Amalgam on Baldurax's team here in round 2.
Yeah, it looks like Baldurax is going to take a spin around the block with the Umbral Amalgam this time. And the reason you're probably not going to see a lot of elemental pets is they don't come with a lot of the same advantages. Yes, they don't receive any negative weather effects from the weather, so they don't see the 10% chance to miss from Call Darkness or Sandstorm. They don't get that extra round of a dot, sorry, I apologize. So anything that's disadvantageous, they're not going to see from any of the weather. But as I believe Fwen pointed out, there are a lot of pets that have elemental damage, like Buttercup has Call of Winter and that Deep Freeze. The Rebellious Imp has Burn and Flamethrower. So it's not necessarily always about picking the family of the pet. Sometimes it's about picking a pet with a really good family, like the undead, the mechanical, and the magic that we talked about earlier, with abilities that are outside of their typical family abilities, like the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling with Flame Breath, a Dragonkin ability, or, as I pointed out with Buttercup, the Call of Winter and Deep Freeze combo. So that's one of the nice things about WoW Pet Battles is definitely we've seen a bigger expansion into pets of one family having abilities from a different family, which has been really nice.
Yeah, it does seem like there is just a wide variety in both the pet types and the move types on both sides. I know something I noticed last weekend was that there was a large amount of flying pets being used, especially with that violent poultrid, and then several others as well. But this time it does seem like we're getting pets from families all across the board. But the anxious nibbler is coming in as WalkSPC's second pet. Not surprised to see that one back in. It definitely did seem to be kind of the piece that tied it all together for round 1 for WalkSPC.
Absolutely. And if the anxious nibbler can get that primal cry off, that will hit the entire team. So it's a team damage ability and it's a slow. So if they can manage to primal cry the enemy team, that will reduce the speed of the I believe everyone on the team. 1 second. Yeah, all enemy pets and reducing their speed by 25% for 4 rounds. So that'll help take care of the Death Adder and Umbral Amalgam speed advantage if the Anxious Nibbler can do that. And one of the nice things about Primal Cry is it does have a cooldown, but it overlaps. And with that, both of our competitors have picked their teams. We have Umbral Amalgams on both sides.
That's right. I'm definitely interested to see what the Umbral Amalgam is going to do for each team. Maybe if there's going to be any differences in the build for that pet on either side.
Now, this is a good time to point out for everyone in the chat right now. With this competition, there are certain rules. And one of those rules is you can only have 1 Sandstorm or 1 Call Darkness. So even though Baldrax has chosen Roggy, which has Sandstorm, and the Umbral Amalgam, which has Call Darkness, they can only select that ability for one of those pets. So if they get Sandstorm for Roggy, they can't have Call Darkness for the Umbral Amalgam and vice versa. Whereas Walks doesn't have to worry about choosing between those 2 abilities because the only pet they have that has Call Darkness or Sandstorm is the Umbral Amalgam. And that's in an effort to keep things fresh and engaging, so you're not seeing the same teams and combinations played over and over, kind of like what you would see in the random queue in game.
Yeah, it's definitely a rule that makes things a bit more interesting because you have situations where one, you have to choose whether Sandstorm or Call Darkness is going to be used, and you kind of have to build your strategy around one or the other. But also, you kind of need to be prepared. You can't just be prepared for a Sandstorm-centered comp. You also need to be prepared for a Call Darkness-centered comp. And yeah, it's definitely a rule I think that keeps things fresh.
Absolutely. And if we see one pet being used a lot, like most likely when the season 1 is being in the works or before it's opened up, the leaders of the Pet Masters League will definitely have a discussion on any new bans we might want to see for this coming season 1 in Midnight, or any unbans we want to see. So we're definitely going to be talking about the violent poultrid this time around. Maybe the Umbral Amalgam, probably not Sir Shady, because Sir Shady doesn't quite have that super speedy edge that the Umbral Amalgam has. But as an example, some of our new bans for this particular season were Jingles. We saw a lot of Cobble Shell in the last season, so that one was banned. The Lime Roboclucker, that Teardrop Moth, and the Karaji Guardling. And the one that had their ban removed was the Dusky Dreadwing Pup. And of course, we have other ones that are just flat out banned because they're used way too much. And that's like Anomalous, the Anubisath Idol, just to name a couple that are really common that people would probably recognize from the queue.
All right, we are getting right into round 2. I'm very interested to see who's going to be starting out on either of these sides, and also what weather effect is going to be put into play first.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a decision that Baldrax is going to have to make. And I'm wondering, because of that reduction if they're hoping that one of the other pets won't be able to hit quite as hard. And it looks like the first one we've got is the Umbral Amalgam versus the Death Adder Hatchling. And that Umbral Amalgam does outspeed the Death Adder Hatchling, which means it is probably the speed breed of that pet, which comes out at 357 speed versus the, I think it's 341 speed for the, 341 speed for the Death Adder Hatchling. And now we have swapped out to the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling, although the Umbral Amalgam is kind of sitting there on the back line with that poison. And
yeah, that Death Adder Hatchling applied that poison right off the gate. It didn't seem to do too much to the Umbral Amalgam, but it's definitely doing a whole lot to that Timeless Mechanical Dragonling.
Absolutely. And for those wondering why that is, when Poison Fang is a beast ability, which doesn't do strong damage to mechanical pets, it puts a dot on the enemy pet that does elemental damage. So even though it's a beast ability, the dot that is applied does elemental damage. So that is going to be strong damage to the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling.
All right, and it looks like that Death Adder Hatchling did get taken out, so now we got Roggy the Snail on the field, finishing off that Timeless Mechanical Dragonling.
Absolutely, just in time for them to get that decoy up, though. And it looks like the Umbral Amalgam is back in, hitting that Call Darkness on Roggy. And one of the effects of the Call Darkness weather is it does reduce the amount of healing that can be done by 50%, which is a counter to something like Roggy's Absorb. So you're not going to see as much. And so as opposed to them being able to get 100 and say 20 something on that heal, they only got 80 something. And they did miss Primal Cry on Roggy, which probably would have taken them out because it is a beast attack. They did land their Scrabble, which gives them a bonus damage amount when the Anxious Nibbler is faster. And both of the competitors are down to their final pets. And
That's
so
right.
Yep.
This is definitely a very close one already.
Sure is. And it looks like we are having to see who is going to outlast the other, with the Anxious Nibbler maybe going to manage it. Oh, and that Shadow Shock rolled high for Walks BC, taking out Baldurax's Umbral Amalgam for Walks's second win of the tournament.
All right, yeah, that definitely was a very high roll, just taking a big bite out of that Umbral Amalgam and finishing it off. I also saw that I think the dodge chance on that Anxious Nibbler helped it live a lot longer, but still a very close round 2. And congrats to Walks BC for taking that.
Absolutely. And that one of the disadvantages of having a pet in the speed breeds is that generally they're going to have a lot lower health. So even though the Umbral Amalgam does have that cap on how much damage it can take in each hit, so it's no more than 35% of their health until obviously they get below 35%, they can be killed in one hit. But when their health is that low, getting those bigger or moderate rolls can still take them out because they're only sitting at like maybe 1200 HP, something along those lines.
I'm wondering if we're going to see, as we get into this round 3, if we're going to see any differences in bans. I think in both round 1 and 2, the combination of the Umbral Amalgam and the Anxious Nibbler just did so much. And so I'm wondering if Baldo's going to kind of adapt their strategy and maybe ban one of those pets or just adjust their comp to kind of more directly counter that.
That's what I was getting ready to say. I was like, I'm wondering if we're going to see that Anxious Nibbler banned, and of course, very quick, right off the cuff to ban that
there
Anxious
it is.
Nibbler. Yep. And they took out the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling for both of them, so Baldurax taking that hit as well.
And then Roggy and the Violent Poultry got banned, which I think Violent Poultry I'm not surprised by, of course, but Roggy I'm a little bit surprised by. since it did, I think, do a good bit of work on Baldo's team. But I do think it could have done more.
I agree, and I think some of that was just bad luck on Baldurax's part for the timeless mechanical dragonling able to come in and get that decoy up before Ragi really had a chance to get rolling, because it does have those 2 weather abilities. But Walks BC managed to get the Lost Quill on their team. So I'm not sure how this is going to play out for Baldurax, because we will see that sleep and that partial blind from Spectral Spine. So this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, that's right. The Lost Quill was one that was banned in the previous 2 rounds, but was able to get through here in round 3. It's a little bit of a nuisance, I think, due to that sleep and just due to how speedy it is.
Absolutely. And then, of course, the Mechanical Pandaren Dragonling coming in as a counter to that magic pet, because even though the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling was banned, Baldurax has chosen the Mechanical Pandaren Dragonling, which also has that breath attack with breath. That is a Dragonkin ability, will do strong damage to the magic pet that is the Lost Quill. The one disadvantage to the Mechanical Pandaren Dragonling versus the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling is that breath will not apply the dot. Only flame breath applies that dot. So they won't have that, but they will have a team damage ability with that Thunderbolt. And I imagine we're probably going to see Decoy coming up.
I could definitely see it. And then the Bone Serpent is coming in as Walks BC's second pet. Definitely another one that I think does a whole lot of damage with that Bone Barrage. So not too surprised to see that one in there.
I'm not either, because Bone Barrage is a natural choice when you're dealing with something like the Mechanical Pandaren Dragonling and Decoy, because those first couple of Bone Barrages are going to be able to take out that Decoy without having to have something on your team that has cleanup. And in the way of with the stack. So there's a priority system on how things work in pet battles, and things like Decoy have the highest priority system above any chances to miss. So let's say Sandstorm's up and the Mechanical Pandaren Dragonling tosses down a Decoy. If the pet with Bone Barrage has enough power behind it, I believe it will be able to take out the Decoy with both of those hits. I don't think the damage reduction has a higher priority than the Decoy, but those things are kind of what come into play when you're making these teams. And interesting choice from Baldurax, choosing that Renishu Runt, which will take the strong damage from that Bone Barrage. So I'm not quite sure. Maybe they're hoping for Swarm of Flies to maybe get on that enemy team and help do some damage to the Bone Serpent, because Swarm of Flies is a critter ability, will do strong damage to the undead pet.
Maybe they're kind of hoping that it can do a lot of front-loaded damage, preferably to that Bone Serpent, just to kind of get it out of the way before the Bone Barrage does too much. But yeah, I'm not really sure about that pick.
Yeah, it might be Swarm of Flies, maybe, but I don't know. You're not generally going to combine Swarm of Flies with Sandstorm because of that damage reduction. So maybe we'll see Call Lightning come into play, because once a pet does get down into their immortal round, which means they've died and resurrected for that single round, their damage percentage is reduced. So they won't do the full damage of their abilities while they're in that immortal round. And if they die during that round before they can have their turn, it's the same then. So that's why when the Bone Serpent was trying to take out Walks BC's team to maybe force a draw by taking out the Anxious Nibbler and then the Rebellious Imp coming in and the Bone Serpent maybe throwing something like Bone Barrage, because the Anxious Nibbler killed the Bone Serpent and it went into its undead round, that Call Darkness did not hit the Anxious Nibbler as hard as it could have, giving Walks just a little bit of health to stay in the game and keep their rebellious imp on the back line away from that Bone Serpent's bone barrage, giving them that win.
All right, we've got the Umbral Amalgam in once more on WoxBC's team. Not surprised. Again, this is their most used pet. And then the Death Adder Hatchling finishing things out on Baldorax's team. A quick reminder before we get into round 3, there are some donations coming in, so I wanted to point it out. There was a $25 donation and a $1.69 donation. Nice. And all of this is going to the Stack Up charity. So if you're interested, there's a Tiltify link in the chat. Go check it out.
Absolutely. And for those of you who have just joined us, Stack Up is a charity supporting active and veteran service members from the US and allied nations by promoting positive mental health and suicide prevention through gaming and geek culture. Now, I want to reiterate, this is not just a charity for US service members. This is for all of our allies. So the EU, Australia, if they're an ally, Stack Up will also do work to help support them, and just, they utilize comprehensive approaches with 4 different pillar programs: the supply crates, air assaults, the stacks, and the Overwatch program, which we'll go into more detail about later in the matches.
It looks like, taking a look at it, we are almost at the $2,500 mark here. And at the $3,500 mark, as we said earlier, there is going to be a giveaway for both a VALOR Gaming coffee mug as well as very highly praised Dragon Roasted Coffee. Disclaimer, not sure if it's actually roasted by dragons, but very delicious.
Either way, very delicious.
All right, it looks like we are getting into this round 3 here. Definitely interested to see how this one is going to play out. We have on WoxBC side, I think, a lot of the same pets that we've seen a whole lot, and then a little bit of a different strategy on Baldorax's side. We'll have to see if that works out in their favor, considering that WoxBC is currently up 2-0 in this best of 7 set.
Absolutely. I think their thinking is the Death Adder Hatchling has done very well for Baldorax so far in the first 2 matches. So they're keeping them. They're switching it up with the Mechanical Pandaren Dragonling and then the Renishu Runt. And it looks like perhaps Wox is maybe having some issues. So we're going to... so we're going to forfeit real quick while they get that taken care of. The issue is that they are playing on the PTR realms right now, which means that it's a little more difficult to make sure that the add-ons are working, especially when the PTR realms are in, like right now, the PTR realms do have midnight on them. So you're seeing a lot of updates and changes, which usually break add-ons pretty easily. And for those of you wondering, no, Rematch is not being impacted by the add-on changes next expansion, so you can breathe in a sigh of relief. And that seems to be the problem here. Not having Rematch was causing some issues, but it looks like they have everything sorted now. So the Lost Quill has done that stay a while and listen against the Mechanical Pandaren Dragonling, which is a good move because we do not want the Dragonling hitting the Lost Quill with that breath attack. And the Lost Quill has done the Deep Research, so that will block 2 attacks. And it looks like they've gone for Plot Twist instead of Arcane Slash, which makes sense because Arcane Slash does do weak damage to mechanical pets because it is a magic attack. But we have swapped the Lost Quill out, and now we have the Bone Serpent, probably in preparation for that decoy that the Mechanical Pandaren Dragonling might throw down. And we have another swap out. Like I said, probably going to see a lot of swap outs because we're seeing a lot of counter pets. So pets being chosen to counter specific pets on the enemy team. So that's why the Bone Serpent was being swapped in against the Mechanical Pandaren Dragonling. And now we have the Bone Serpent against the Renishu Runt. So that's going to be interesting to try and see. Oh, before the Renishu, yeah, that took out half the health there.
And there was a few misses in there as well, so I feel like it could have done even more damage. And now it's down to 15 HP.
Yep. So 15 HP with the Bone Serpent going into the Immortal round and the Renishu Runt dying. So yes, Bone Barrage is one of those abilities that it does multiple hits, but it only has an 80% hit chance on each of those hits. And the Mechanical Pandaren Dragonling using Thunderbolt for that team damage. It missed on the Bone Serpent, which is funny. It hit both of the backline when the Bone Serpent was in Immortal round, and it wouldn't have died anyway until the end of the round. So that's a funny pet for the miss to come up on.
Yeah, definitely. But the Bone Serpent has been taken out. So I think despite that Renishu Runt also being taken out, I think it did its job in kind of keeping the Bone Serpent from doing too much crazy amounts of damage. But we have now the Mechanical Pandaren Dragonling versus the Umbral Amalgam. I'm seeing a breath coming out, and we'll have to see if the Umbral Amalgam can maybe finish off the Pandaren Dragonling, and it does.
Yep, it goes into the mechanical round. Now, Walks did get lucky with a couple of those breath attacks. They did miss on Baldurax, but the Mechanical Pandaren Dragonling using that breath to finally take out the Umbral Amalgam. And now we are the Lost Quill versus the Death Adder Hatchling. So this one's going to be interesting because I would say attack-wise, the Death Adder Hatchling probably has the advantage attack-wise, but as you can see, with that sleep, and then, of course, deep research with the blocks.
Yeah, I think that sleep was very big.
Yeah.
In order to keep that Death Adder Hatchling from doing too much, we'll have to see if maybe a big hit will come in, but it seems like not. That Lost Quill finishing off the Death Adder Hatchling as Walks BC takes round 3. A quick 3 rounds won back to back.
Absolutely. Walks is kind of cleaning up the tournament so far. And so in that last match, what you saw there was even though the Lost Quill doesn't have a whole lot of power behind it, defensively it's very strong, especially because it's so speedy. So even though the Death Adder Hatchling did have the advantage with those attack abilities like Poison Fang and Puncture Wound, because the Lost Quill was faster, was defensively very sound, it was able to take out that Death Adder Hatchling without too much of an issue. I think only getting attacked once there. But with that 3-0 done with Walks BC, we are going into a 5-minute break before we get into the last set of matches. Remember, this is a best of 7. So we might come back, and if Walks BC takes that 4th win, they will be the world champion. Or will Baldurax pull out a couple of wins like they did against Tanixian, and we will see another EU world champion for this season.
Yeah.
Are you a veteran or currently serving? Or perhaps you're a civilian that has a veteran in your life? We want to stack up with you. StackUp.org brings both veterans and civilians together through a shared love of gaming. StackUp serves not only active duty troops and veterans in the U.S., but also our allies throughout the world. We do this through 4 primary programs. Supply crates, giant boxes of the latest in games and gear sent to active duty troops and veterans to raise morale, build camaraderie, and help combat post-traumatic stress. Air assaults, where we fly deserving veterans to life-changing gaming and geek culture events. The Stacks, our local volunteer teams coming together to support military personnel around their community. And our Stop Squad, Stack Up suicide awareness and mental health support team. Our trained volunteers are on call if you're looking to talk with someone about your problems. We're here to help. Please reach out to us through StackUp.org to find out how we can support you or the veteran in your life today. Are you a veteran or currently serving? Or perhaps you're a civilian that has a veteran in your life? We want to stack up with you. StackUp.org brings both veterans and civilians together through a shared love of gaming. StackUp serves not only active duty troops and veterans in the U.S., but also our allies throughout the world. We do this through 4 primary programs. Supply crates, giant boxes of the latest in games and gear sent to active duty troops and veterans to raise morale, build camaraderie, and help combat post-traumatic stress. Air assaults, where we fly deserving veterans to life-changing gaming and geek culture events. The Stacks, our local volunteer teams coming together to support military personnel around their community. And our Stop Squad, Stack Up suicide awareness and mental health support team. Our trained volunteers are on call if you're looking to talk with someone about your problems. We're here to help. Please reach out to us through stackup.org to find out how we can support you or the veteran in your life today. Are you a veteran or currently serving? Or perhaps you're a civilian that has a veteran in your life? We want to stack up with you. StackUp.org brings both veterans and civilians together through a shared love of gaming. StackUp serves not only active duty troops and veterans in the U.S., but also our allies throughout the world. We do this through 4 primary programs. Supply crates, giant boxes of the latest in games and gear sent to active duty troops and veterans to raise morale, build camaraderie, and help combat post-traumatic stress. Air assaults, where we fly deserving veterans to life-changing gaming and geek culture events. The Stacks, our local volunteer teams coming together to support military personnel around their community. And our Stop Squad, Stack Up suicide awareness and mental health support team. Our trained volunteers are on call if you're looking to talk with someone about your problems. We're here to help. Please reach out to us through stackup.org to find out how we can support you or the veteran in your life today. Are you a veteran or Are you a veteran or currently serving? Or perhaps you're a civilian that has a veteran in your life? We want to stack up with you. StackUp.org brings both veterans and civilians together through a shared love of gaming. StackUp serves not only active duty troops and veterans in the U.S., but also our allies throughout the world. We do this through 4 primary programs. Supply crates, giant boxes of the latest in games and gear sent to active duty troops and veterans to raise morale, build camaraderie, and help combat post-traumatic stress. Air assaults, where we fly deserving veterans to life-changing gaming and geek culture events. The Stacks, our local volunteer teams coming together to support military personnel around their community. And our Stop Squad, Stack Up suicide awareness and mental health support team. Our trained volunteers are on call if you're looking to talk with someone about your problems. We're here to help. Please reach out to us through StackUp.org to find out how we can support you or the veteran in your life today.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Pet Masters League PvP World Finals between our competitors WoxBC and Balderax.
Yeah, in our best of 7 NA versus EU match, WoxBC has taken the first 3 rounds, so we will see if they can clean up the set or if Balderax maybe can come in and begin that reverse sweep.
Absolutely. So what do you think? Do you think Balderax is going to make a comeback and defeat Wox the way they did, like the surprise victories that we saw against Tanixian? Or do you think that this is going to be it, that WoxBC is going to make a clean sweep of this in the 4th match here?
I could definitely see it. We've seen a variety of strategies come in, I think, on Balderax's side. And the matches have been very close so far. So I would not be surprised if we see that reverse sweep kind of begin to unfold. We'll have to see. And maybe the picks and bans here in our round 4 will kind of shape that. So far on Wox's side, we've seen a lot being done by pets like the Umbral Amalgam, the Anxious Nibbler, the Bone Serpent. But we'll have to see what the compositions will look like as we get into this round 4.
Absolutely. And I would say we've probably seen the most variety on Balderax's side. Definitely the Anxious Nibbler coming in as a surprise, kind of like a little bit of a powerhouse here and there, but we've seen a lot of counter for counter going on. So like when Wox chose the Lost Quill, we saw Balderax picking the Mechanical Pandaren Dragonling, which has that Dragonkin attack doing strong damage against the magic pet that is the Lost Quill. And then in turn, we saw, let's say, the Bone Serpent coming in, and then the Renishu Runt, which kind of I sort of saw that as kind of an odd pick to counter the Bone Serpent, probably hoping to get that Sandstorm up to help counter that Bone Barrage damage. Unfortunately, the Bone Serpent, even the Power Breed, is kind of speedy. And so, unfortunately, it didn't quite pan out for Balderax that time around. So I'm really looking forward to how Balderax is going to change this up and maybe come in with this last minute from behind win.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this shapes out. For those who might not be familiar with our competitors and how they got here, Balderax is representing our EU team, and they were able to defeat, remind me of the name,
Tanixian.
In order to get here and win a 1 million gold bounty. So this is a first time appearance of Balderax in our grand finals. And then WoxBC is a very threatening foe, I think, on the side of NA. Had no nemesis pet, meaning they had not lost a round up until the NA finals. But were able to still win out those NA finals and make it here. So I think very interesting stories on both NA and EU sides.
Absolutely. I think everyone was kind of surprised. I think everyone expected Tanixian to take the win for the EU, and then they were going to come up against WoxBC again because Tanixian and Walks BC have been our finalists for both Season 1 and Season 2. So Baldrax is kind of that surprise dark horse of the tournament. I think everyone was kind of shocked when, no offense to Baldrax, of course, this isn't a knock on their ability as a PvP pet battler, but I think everyone was kind of expecting Tanixian to win, hence that 1 million gold bounty. I'm not sure if the person who put the bounty out was expecting to not have to pay the million gold, or if they were really hoping to be able to pay it because it meant they were going to see a change up in the EU champion.
Yeah, either way, Baldrax is 1 million gold or richer and made it to the World Finals, which is really cool to see.
Absolutely, and apparently gave 100k of it to his wife. So not only a decent PvP pet battler, but also generous to his wife with his in-game currency.
All right, we should be seeing the picks and bans here shortly. But, oh yeah, here we go. And as a reminder, our picks and bans are being done on pet-draft.com. If you want to talk a little bit more about what that site does, Dragons.
Absolutely. So pet-draft.com is a specially made site for pet battle PvP in WoW, where you get to go in, you get to pick the pets as you see the competitors doing here. You get to pick the 12 initial pets, and then your bonus picks are maybe to help counter anything you see on the enemy team that you weren't expecting. And then you go into the pick and ban phase, and unlike what we're doing here, where they take their team from the browser and go into the game to battle, you can battle with a friend through the browser, and it does give you detailed different add-on, but you can battle through the browser. So if you go to pet-draft.com, you and your friend can do simulated battles, maybe get a little practice in before joining us for Season 1 in Midnight. And if you're interested in doing Season 1 of Midnight to get that special exclusive enamel pin that is only rewarded to participants of the tournaments, you can check out petmastersleague.com, the site and people who are the creators of this amazing tournament we have here today.
Yeah, that's right. If you're interested in getting into pet battling, or if you're a bit more of an experienced pet battler and you want to get involved in this competition, definitely check it out. Get yourself an enamel pin, maybe get yourself a custom trophy. As a reminder, the winner of this tournament will be receiving a one-of-a-kind custom trophy themed around Season 3 of The War Within. So really looking forward to seeing what that's going to look like.
Yeah, I definitely am thinking Ecodome. For sure. Just some of the plant life that came up in the ecodomes was just so cool. I am interested in seeing what pets they choose, because we didn't see a huge diversity of pets that came out in Koresh. We saw a lot of the same pets with a bunch of different recolors. But so far, we have absolutely banned the Violent Poultrid. It looks like Baldrax has had enough of that Anxious Nibbler and the Lost Quill, so they banned both of them. And we have both come out with the Bone Serpent as the first picks.
Yeah, that's really interesting, getting into some of these pick and ban choices. So the Violent Poultrid, I think, has been banned every round so far. Definitely one of those very strong pets that we were deliberating might be banned completely during Season 1 of Midnight, but only time will tell. And then the Lost Quill and the Anxious Nibbler were pets that Walks BC has been utilizing, I think, to great effect against Baldrax's team. But this is the first time I think I've seen a Bone Serpent on both sides. Not super surprised by that. That Bone Serpent does seem very versatile, but I would love to see how each side decides to utilize it.
Yeah, 100%. And it looks like Walks does not want anything to do with that Death Adder hatchling, still banning the personal use sapper, so they must have some kind of vendetta against that particular pet. And we do see Roggy being chosen again. And so I'm wondering if we are going to see that dual Sandstorm and Mudslide, or if the Bone Serpent's going to get Call Darkness. Remember, that is one of the rules for the tournament. You can only have one Call Darkness or Sandstorm. So if Roggy gets Sandstorm, that means we are not going to see Call Darkness on that Bone Serpent. Or if the Bone Serpent has Call Darkness, we won't see that Sandstorm from Roggy. And now it is Wox BC's turn to add a pet. I'm wondering if we're going to see some kind of counter for Roggy with something on the team that has a beast attack, like maybe the Akir Tunneler with that claw, or perhaps maybe Smash from Trunks. We haven't seen Trunks this time around either, and maybe using that Moonfire to get the weather changed from darkness so that no one will miss. And then it's kind of a toss-up on whether or not you want to use Headbutt or Avalanche, but I imagine if Roggy is on Baldorax's team and Trunks was chosen, we'd see Headbutt for that nice big beast attack.
Oh yeah, and there it is. There's Trunks.
And there it is, Trunks.
Yeah, glad to see that one. Love seeing that little elephant. I also, just in terms of vibes, I like seeing Roggy as well. I think that one is one of my favorites. So we'll have to see what build Wox PC chooses in order to kind of counter what Roggy has.
I agree. And for those of you wondering how you can get Roggy in the game, because it is not actually tied to a quest in Zeralet Cavern like the other snails are in the snail race, you basically just have to help Roggy win the race. He is the slowest of the snails. He is the most wandering of the snails. So you really kind of have to work if you're by yourself to be able to help Roggy win. And he is awarded through an achievement, not a quest. If you're wondering why you never received a quest for him, there isn't one. He's just a straight achievement pet.
Roggy is just doing his best, and I love that.
Absolutely. And he's he really does do his best. I mean, you can't go wrong with the Opera Viking helmet. Like
yeah, for sure. Okay, so we have Buttercup being the final pick on Baldorex's team. I do like that pick. Buttercup is a pet I think that can do a crazy amount of damage, and I think will be very good against what Wox BC is shaping up.
I agree. So between Call of Winter and Deep Freeze, that might be enough to help probably get Trunks out of the way. And then generally I go for Trample because it has that damage plus 10% of the enemy's HP. So if they have a lot of health like Trunks does, or a little more health than usual, so Trunks has 1546 health, that 10% hit with Trample plus the damage can do quite a bit more to a pet with a bigger health pool than it would a pet with a smaller health pool. And then it's also there because it can do a weather change with Call of Winter, which is really handy, and it has a really short cooldown, a shorter cooldown than Call Darkness or Sandstorm at 3 rounds. And then if Blizzard is already up, you'll get an extra hit on all the pets on the team. So it's a team damage ability. It will hit all 3 pets if all 3 pets are alive. And now we are just waiting for Wox's final choice. I'm not sure that they have any straight mechanical attacks to help counter Buttercup except Siphon Anima on that Sir Shady Murgleton, but that one, Sir Shady is a little slower, and we might see that, they'd be able to Call of Winter and Deep Freeze before, Sir Shady could say Bob's your uncle. But it looks like the Umbral Amalgam is going to be our 3rd pick, and with no Dragonkin attacks on Baldorax's team, I'm interested to see how this is going to shape up.
Yeah, I was just about to say that so far the Umbral Amalgam has been on Wox BC's team every round, so I wasn't sure if we were going to see it yet again here in round 4, but it seems like we do. I'm not sure against this specific comp how good it might be, but we'll just have to see. It is definitely a very strong pet all around, though, so...
It sure is. So I imagine we'll definitely be in talks about the Violent Portrait and the Umbral Amalgam for upcoming in Season 1. But while we wait for the opponents to finish selecting their abilities and get started, don't forget that the tournament that we are hosting through VALOR Gaming was very kind to allow us to stream it through their Twitch channel today. Along with them, the proud partners of the Pet Masters League Tournament Finals are stackup.org, which we've talked about today, the warcraftpets.com, which is great for helping you track your collection and finding sources and seeing how you stack up against other pet collectors of the game, Icy Veins, Raider.io, which has been kind enough to host us on their front page right now, I believe, wowpetguide.com for all of your PvE and PvP strategizing needs for pet battles in-game, and then, of course, our lovely hosts, VALOR Gaming, VLRgaming.com.
That's right. Huge thanks to everybody who made this tournament possible, everybody in the Pet Masters League, as well as VALOR Gaming for hosting this stream. And I believe we are about to get right into round 4.
Absolutely. So we're going to see who gets picked first. I will think it'll be funny if both Bone Serpents come in at the same time, because at that point, what happens if both pets are the same and have the same speed? Oh, but they don't. So it looks like we have 2 different breeds of Bone Serpent here. So if you're wondering, yes, battle pets do have different breeds. And so Walks BC's Bone Serpent got to go first, but Baldurax's Bone Serpent came in with that crit on that Call Darkness, and that definitely helped eat away at Walks BC's Bone Serpent. So when pets are the same speed, it's a coin flip on who gets to go first. And as I said, yes, it's interesting, but WoW does have pet breeds. You cannot see them in the game. It doesn't come with the default UI. You do have to have an add-on in-game to be able to see the pet breeds. I personally like Pet Battle UI tweaks. That's one of the ones that I use. That one's really good. But there are a few of them if you're interested in finding out what breed of pets you have.
Yeah, both of those Bone Serpents definitely came out swinging.
They did. They took each other right out.
yeah, despite being different breeds, they both got taken out pretty much at the same time. So now we have Roggy versus Trunks here in our round 4.
Yeah, so I would guess that Trunks was coming in as a counter against Roggy. Yep, and we've got that Headbutt. So Headbutt normally has a 25% chance to stun the opponent. However, Roggy is a critter pet, and one of their family passives, oh my goodness, with that 1,330 crit on that smash from Trunks,
that was
absolutely destroying Roggy in pretty much 2 hits. But Roggy would not have been stunned by the Headbutt because Critter's passive for their family is they are immune to all stuns and sleeps.
Yeah, that elephant really hit hard, taking out Roggy very quickly. And so we got Buttercup here trying to see what that pet can do against the elephant.
You are 100% correct. So it's pretty much the Pink Moose versus the rest of Walks BC's team. So the best bet here is likely going to be utilizing that acidic goo that gives Baldurax an extra 20% chance to hit against Trunks. And Trunks is taken out by that dot. Now Baldurax has to survive whatever the Umbral Amalgam comes up with, and it is stunned. We do have that Horn Gore, and it came right down to it. But it looks like with that, Walks BC gets their 4th win and is officially our new world champion.
All right, NA was able to clutch it out with a 4-0 victory in this best of 7 set. Huge congrats to Walks BC. That hit from Trunks, I think, did so much. That just really took me by surprise.
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't think anyone was quite expecting Ragi to be taken out in 2 hits. I feel like something similar happened the last time where Ragi didn't really kind of get its well, it doesn't have feet, does it? But it's figurative feet under it to be able to really show what it could do. So, congratulations, Walks BC, on being the Pet Masters League Season 3 World Champion. First time for NA, by the way, because Tanixian was EU champion for the first 2 we have. So, what an incredible day of competition here at the Pet Masters League World Finals. Congratulations to our winner, Walks BC, sweeping the competition with a 4-0 win.
Was a really big win. Great day to be a part of NA. Yeah, I think we are ready to get into our post-match interview. So let's talk with our winner, Walks BC. Congratulations. How are you feeling? They might not be able to hear us quite yet. Yeah, they are not. So before we get into that post-match interview, just a quick reminder, this stream is in support of the Stack Up charity, supporting veterans through gaming and geek culture. If you're interested, there's a Tiltify link in the chat. Would love to see some people check that out, maybe put in a donation.
Absolutely. So we are close to the $2,500 mark. We have, what would that be? 40, nope, 54-ish. Wow, head math. Obviously not my thing. There's a reason calculators exist. A little less than $54 left to be able to hit that 2,500 mark. But it looks like we are still waiting for Walks to get such. Maybe they're up and dancing. Maybe that's what's going on.
For sure.
Maybe they're just jumping up and down and actually just like ran away from their computer. They're going to get a one-of-a-kind trophy that will reflect the current season in World of Warcraft. So that will be Koresh. And we were talking about how we'd like to see it do the Eco Dome. You can see the sample grand prize from last season up on the screen. That one's from Undermine with one of the gorilla bots and one of the mechasaurs. And then, of course, the Pet Battle PvP Season 3 pin with the Thorntail and the Perkin. All competitors receive one. So if you're interested in this amazing looking pin, you can get one that will be themed after Season 1 for midnight when that drops. And if you're interested, don't forget to check out petmastersleague.com. And someone mentioned maybe they had to go to the bathroom.
Maybe. But now we have Walks BC here. As Flip Method said in the chat, it is their 3rd time in World's Finals and bringing NA to their very first victory. So huge congratulations. And how are you feeling, Walks?
Good. I was a little bit nervous. I think the last 2 times I played against Tanixian, I ended up getting reverse swept after being up 3-0, so it was good to be able to close it out finally.
Congratulations. I do remember that. I do think last season you came pretty close, and like you said, you got unfortunately reverse swept, but you came in with the win in Season 3, so you're closing out the War Within with NA's first win. What adjustments did you have to make during these matches? What was your thinking there?
I think Baldrax had some unusual pet choices, and so I just had to adjust my draft a little bit to play around those.
Yeah, they definitely got pretty close a couple times.
It was definitely some very close matches, and I think a huge variety of compositions being used. Is there anything else you'd like to add, maybe say to your fellow competitors?
I don't think so. I hope to see everybody again next season. Had a lot of fun playing against everybody and trying out various things. So.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, and congratulations once again. And with that, we would like to give a huge thank you to the Pet Masters League, the World of Warcraft community, to all of the players who participated in this season of the Pet Masters League PvP tournament, and of course to StackUp and VALOR Gaming for hosting and producing this live event.
And we'll see you again next season. Don't forget to check out petmastersleague.com so you can get in on the Pet Battle PvP action. It'll have information on how you can sign up and get one of those exclusive pins and maybe take home a trophy. So thank you and goodbye for now.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.